You're trying to be healthy, so you grab a diet soda, zero sugar, zero calories, zero guilt, right? But what if that guilt-free choice is actually tricking your brain, messing with your metabolism, and its approval story reads more like a political thriller than a health safeguard? Today on The Hidden Ingredient, we uncover the truth about aspartame, the secret your soda label won't tell you. Aspartame, you've probably had it today without realizing. It's an artificial sweetener about 200 times sweeter than sugar, which is why just a pinch goes a long way. You'll find it everywhere. In diet sodas, sugar-free gum, yogurt, even some medications. But here's the catch. Unlike sugar, your body doesn't use it for energy. It's a chemical trick on your taste buds. And to uncover how this trick ended up in our food supply, we need to go back to its controversial beginning. In the 1970s, a company called G.D. Searle was desperate to get aspartame onto the American market. Back then, there were two paths: full FDA approval, long, rigorous, and expensive, or a shortcut called GRAS status, generally recognized as safe. GRAS was meant for things like vinegar or salt, foods with centuries of safe use. But Searle tried to push their brand new lab chemical through this shortcut. The FDA's own scientific board of inquiry reviewed the early studies and said no. They cited questionable methodology, a lack of proper animal testing, and an alarming number of brain lesions and tumors in test animals. They warned about a potential cancer risk. So how did a rejected sweetener get the green light? This is where the story shifts from science to politics. At the center of it was Donald Rumsfeld, CEO of Searle, political insider and member of President Reagan's transition team. He helped bring in a new FDA commissioner, Dr. Arthur Hull Hayes. Hayes had no background in toxicology, but just weeks after taking office, he overruled his own scientific board and approved aspartame for use in dry foods. But the billion-dollar prize, the beverage market, was still off limits. Why? Because even the National Soft Drink Association raised alarms. In liquid, especially when it warms or sits too long, aspartame breaks down into phenylalanine, aspartic acid, and methanol. And methanol can convert into formaldehyde, a known toxin. Despite that opposition, Hayes pushed it through for beverages anyway. And just months later, he resigned from the FDA. His next job? Senior advisor at Burson Marsteller, the PR firm representing G.D. Searle. And almost immediately, people started reporting strange symptoms: headaches, dizziness, mood swings, even what they called brain fog. So what's going on here? Let's break it down. First, the mood issue. Aspartame breaks down into something called phenylalanine. Normally, that's fine, but too much of it can throw off the brain chemicals that control your mood and sleep. That's why some people link aspartame to anxiety, depression, or migraines. Second, the nerve cell stress. Another part, aspartic acid, acts like an overstimulating signal for your brain. Imagine your neurons being blasted with loud noise nonstop. Over time, that can lead to headaches, fatigue, and that foggy feeling. Finally, the cancer debate. Aspartame also leaves behind a tiny amount of methanol, which the body can turn into formaldehyde. One soda won't do much, but daily long-term exposure is what has scientists debating whether it raises cancer risk. So, could aspartame actually cause cancer? The debate goes way beyond the science itself. It comes down to two major health bodies, both under the WHO, looking at the same pool of studies and walking away with completely different conclusions. First, IARC, the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Their job? Spot danger. Think of them like a smoke alarm. If there's even the faintest hint of trouble, they sound the alert. And based on limited evidence in humans and animals, they classified aspartame as Group 2B, possibly carcinogenic. Then there's JECFA, the Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives. Different mission, different mindset. Their job is to assess risk. They're the fire marshal. Okay, there's smoke, but is anything actually burning? JECFA said aspartame is safe at current limits, which means about 9 to 14 cans of diet soda a day for an average adult. So why the split? Because IARC is searching for any sign of hazard, while JECFA is calculating the real-world risk. But here's where things get messy. Critics argue that even though they reviewed the same body of evidence, JECFA relied more heavily on industry-funded research, while IARC gave more weight to independent studies. And in the U.S., the FDA stands firmly with JECFA, maintaining that aspartame is safe at typical intake levels. So depending on who you ask, aspartame is either a harmless everyday habit or a potential cancer risk hiding in plain sight. So if you're still on the fence right now, wondering whether you should keep drinking it at all, let's talk about the reason most people drink it in the first place: weight loss. And this is where the science gets truly fascinating and deeply counterintuitive. Aspartame has 0 calories, but the intense sweetness tricks your body's ancient wiring. Your taste buds send the signal, sugar incoming, so your pancreas releases insulin to handle it. But when no real sugar arrives, the insulin has already been released, so your blood sugar may crash, leaving you hungrier and craving real carbs and sweets even more. And that's not all. Some studies suggest artificial sweeteners, like aspartame, can also alter your gut microbiome, the community of bacteria in your intestines that play a huge role in metabolism. When your gut is out of balance, your body tends to store more fat and burn fewer calories. So while diet soda promises weight control, it may actually be working against your metabolism, making long-term weight loss harder, not easier. So, what does this all mean for you and your family? Let's get specific. For kids, many doctors advise against it. Their bodies are smaller, so when consuming the same amount, they get a higher dose per pound of body weight. Their brains and gut microbiomes are still developing, making them more vulnerable to potential disruptions. For pregnant women, moderation is the official guideline, but many obstetricians urge caution. The long-term effects on a developing fetus are unknown. For women with PKU who cannot process phenylalanine, it's an absolute no. For the elderly, as we age, our kidneys and liver process substances less efficiently. Aspartame and its byproducts, like formaldehyde, may stay in the system longer. Combined with other age-related health issues and medications, this could worsen anxiety, cognitive fog, or neurological symptoms. For healthy adults, official agencies say it's safe within very high limits. But now that you know the full picture, the science, the side effects, the uncertainty, there's only one final question left. Not for regulators, not for scientists, but for you. Is aspartame actually worth it? For many, after weighing everything, the answer is a clear no. But that leads to a bigger, more liberating question. What's next? The ultimate takeaway isn't to find a safer sweetener. It's to step off the sweetness merry-go-round entirely. In fact, if you avoid all sweets, including fruit, for just 2 weeks, then return to the foods you used to eat, you'll be surprised at how sweet they taste. Go for 4 weeks, and the results are even more striking. As your taste buds reset, whole foods begin to taste sweeter, and the need for added sugar, or its substitutes, simply disappears. What surprised you the most? Are you thinking about cutting back? Let us know in the comments. If you're ready to uncover more hidden truths about the food you eat, hit subscribe. This is The Hidden Ingredient. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one.